It was the question on everyone's lips. Who is the Newry Spud? Newry's worst kept secret didn't require Columbo to figure out that it is, of course, Jackie Sheridan. Why now? Why reveal yourself?
Even the dogs in the street probably do know it's me at this stage. But I think I want to sort of come out now and sort of own it.
Starting out as a meme page and a bit of fun, Newry Spud provoked and entertained its way to the biggest media following in the area. However, there's been a dark side to Jackie's success.
As a creative person, if I'm going through a hard time with my mental health, I don't want to see my phone, I don't want to see my laptop. Recently, I had a bad time. And my brother came up to the Daisy Hill. I took an overdose. This isn't too long ago, it's only a few months ago. And I saw his eyes, my brother Turlock, and he was in bits.
In his first ever sit-down interview, Jackie speaks from the heart about his struggles with mental health and how he created a fan page that has become a Newry institution. On this latest edition of The Scene. Alright, so Jackie Sheridan, the Newry Spud, why now? Why reveal yourself?
Well, I mean, I think even the dogs in the street probably do know it's me at this stage. But I think I want to sort of come out now and sort of own it, that it's me, you know. So and there's a lot of talk, you know, what's Jackie Sheridan? So yes, it is me. And what better way to break it on the scene?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So what was the origins then of the page? Talk about the origins.
The origins of the page, it actually came from something a bit more darker than people would think. Back in 2015, in the late summer, I was actually admitted to Lamar Hospital with depression. And like it was really bad. I spent months in it. And then when I come out, I was in the house. I was living in Belfast at the time. And I took great solace in, you know, Waterford Whispers, the page.
Yeah, yes.
And I thought, what if Newry had something like that? Or, you know, and so I actually just messed about with it. And I had the Newry Teledaft at the start. I had it, you know, I was playing about with.
Yeah.
And then it was the Newry Potato. And I said, that sounds wrong. And then Newry Spud, and just went,
yeah.
And I go, right. And I started just making up stories then. And, you know, and that sort of kept me sane, making jokes and fun and, you know, making up stories. So it really saved me, the page, in a way. Right.
That's really interesting because I've experienced it slightly too, in the sense that, do you experience it where, especially during lockdown and stuff, when you were posting all your stories, people saying to you that Newry Spud really, you know, helped me through things? Because I get it with my stuff and I'm like, what? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it really helps people.
No, big time. I get a lot of people always reach out and go, Jesus, your page, you know, because there was a few times I was thinking of pulling it down.
Right, okay.
You know, there's people who sending me abusive messages and stuff. That's part and parcel with being a creator. I get that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, God, I'm going to pull this down. I said it to a few friends. Please don't, because we love it. You know, it's just a bit of crack. So for that there, I'm keeping it. I'm glad I did.
Yeah. And you were saying you were thinking of pulling it. Why was that? Because the thing is, like, a lot of your stories, well, some of the stories can be provocative or can be controversial, the way some, and would that polarize people's reaction to it sometimes?
It would be. I mean, sometimes, but there is just people who are just nasty online. It's you know, the reason I was going to pull it about 3 months ago is somebody threatened my daughter.
Oh, right, okay.
By a private message, but it was one of those, like, you can't see, it's just a nobody, and there's no page, no profile photo or whatever. So that really got to me, and I was like, nah, I can't do this. But then I was like, you know, just the stubbornness in me said, well, if I fold this in, the hater won, you know, and it's only a small margin of people. I don't know, do you get that with change scenes, people who say, oh, this isn't funny, this is
Oh, yeah, you get that all the time. You get like, oh, this is a pile of shit or whatever, occasionally, you know, you know, the odd thing, the odd comment, but I wouldn't really be getting death threats or things like that.
Or, to your family.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we would push buttons at times, but like we wouldn't specifically be calling out a specific chain somewhere or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Whereas maybe sometimes your stuff, people can take it personally. Yeah, more so, or it's just fictionalized, a lot of it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, I learned a lot though with the process when I first started. I think because I was living in Belfast when I first started, I was divorced from Newry in a way, and I was, you know, I was naive.
Yes.
So I was sort of going after people in a personal way.
Right.
And, you know, like in businesses, small businesses and stuff, I was maybe doing them more harm than, you know, it wasn't funny, haha. It was more like putting a knife in.
Right, okay.
And I reflected in long now, and I've stopped that, you know, because I mean, you know, everybody's most of the business around Newry take it in their stride now. They'll share my joke and go LOL, you know. Well, but when I first started, I like particularly cobbles. I was really nasty to them, and you know, and I shouldn't have been. It was, you know, it was, you know. But I've learned now that.
But it's interesting you say that, like, because I think everybody's experienced this with social media. But it's only the fact that it gets highlighted because it's you on Newry Spud because it was so big.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, everybody has gone through a phase of when social media first started and Facebook started booming and stuff, people posted stuff they would never post now, you know, because it was a bit like the Wild West at the start, wasn't it?
Exactly.
It was like no holds barred. And then, so sort of as a society, we all understood the sort of invisible lines you couldn't cross and what you could post and what you couldn't post, even about stuff on nights out. There's stuff that would have been posted in the early days of Facebook that you look back and go, why did he post that? Exactly. You know what I mean? But on yours, it's like just inflated to a huge level because of the scale and the width in which your posts go out to.
I know,
like.
and again, that was a learning curve for me because I didn't see the how it was growing, and I became, you know, like I sent you figures of like my 90 days. This past 90 days was 7.6 million views on the page, and it's crazy.
That is mental,
you know. And people, you know, back in the early days, as I say, I don't care about him. You know, he'll, you know, and I would write something nasty, put it out there, and know that it would get likes. But and you know, at the start,
you get into, and I've been guilty of it in the past. You get into the cycle of, you get lost in the cycle of social media.
You do, yeah.
So you start thinking about sometimes what works on social media. And that's such a destructive thing to think in terms of creativity. It stunts your creativity. So you should be thinking about what's a good story rather than what's going to be popular or whatever.
Yeah, but like me and you are in the same sort of space where we're content creators. I think me speaking personally at the start of it, and when I started getting traction, I started to think it was bigger than who I was. You know, I got a big head. I really did. And I thought it was, you know, this great thing. And it took me a couple of years to actually think, hang on a minute, that could hurt people, that could hurt people's business. Step back. Yeah. But I mean, as you said, that back when I first started in 2015, it was the wild west of the internet, that like in the social media, and it was it was an experience. Yeah,
even censorship and all didn't exist. And do you ever experience anything with censorship? Is there ever stuff where they just pull it off you, or they take it down, or do you get into issues with that?
Strange. The strange one that the only thing that I was pulled down for. I shared a video. Somebody sent me a video on WhatsApp, and it was of somebody in Dundalk, and he pulled a balaclava on.
Right, okay.
And he said something up there or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's funny, you know, because the accent that I shared it, and I got a 30-day ban.
Did you?
Yeah. Whereas, like, I put other things up way worse.
Right, okay.
And nothing's ever happened. It's bizarre the way Facebook do it, like, so.
So it's hit and miss as to what.
I'm a lot more careful now, though.
Right, okay.
You know what I put up because of the massive readership, viewership I have. I don't want to lose it, so I'm always like, will that pass? You know, I always put out, like, instead of writing FUCK, I'll write F***K.
Yeah,
you know, I censor myself all the time now. So.
Yeah. And is there like a strike process where, like, if they pulled something again, would it be a more severe ban?
Like, when I first was pulled off, they give you like a red or a yellow warning, and then you have to wait for 30 days. And you know, if you're good, they'll take it off. If you're not, it'll still be yellow, and then it's warning, this page could be removed. So you after working so hard to get it up to that.
Yes.
So you know,
So your stories, where did you come up? How do you come up with the stories? How do you keep it fresh all the time?
My head. Honestly, it's just sitting thinking, what, you know, and watching current threads.
Yes.
You know. So I'll look at current threads, what's funny, what's not, what's, just what's happening online. What people are posting about on Facebook. And then taking it and twisting it. And making it more I try to make it more of a Newry-centric post now. You know, I don't try to appeal to all of Ireland or the UK or America. It's just about Newry. You know, Newry woman does this, Newry man does that. Instead of, you know, man, you know, I like making it very Newry centric.
And was there ever a time when you wanted to broaden it out more?
No, ever since I started, it was always about Newry and South Armagh.
Yes,
and that's the way I always wanted to do it. You know.
Yes. Let's talk about the growth then. When you started the page, so you said when you started the page, you were like, you did it, you know, for your own mental health and that sort of thing. Did you ever envision the scale of how it would grow?
I did, and I remember there's a guy in Newry, Paul Malone. He owns the Newry Times website.
Right.
He's a good friend of mine, and Paul was in it in at the start. He was giving me advice on what to do and stuff. And I remember the day as clear. It was in early January of 2016. I texted him, Paul, I've got over 100 likes. You know, I was so excited with this. Yeah. Never did I think that it was going to go like this. It shocked me. It shocked a lot of people.
Yeah. And then when did you know? When did you go, oh, there's something here? You know, when you started Newry Spud, how long did it take after you started the page?
I think about when I hit over 5,000 views or 5,000 likes, I was going, bloody hell. Yeah. Something might be here.
Yeah.
And then it just every week it goes up a couple of thousand. It's.
And then in terms of the stories that you post, do you know what ones are going to be popular? Do you know what ones aren't going to be?
No. The thing is, I was speaking to you off camera about this. Some things you think is hilarious.
Yeah.
You post it up and it doesn't get any traction. Mm-hmm. Some things, and it explodes.
Yeah.
So it's the readership, but you just don't know how it hits and misses. I don't know if you get that same thing with Gene Scenes or with Taxi Joe. It's very it's luck.
Yeah, exactly. But there's some videos we've made in the past. We thought this is going to be people are going to love this, and they didn't. You know, they thought this is a pile of shit, and then something you just whimsically throw up and actually
get
what?
Thousands.
It's
bizarre.
Have you strayed into TikTok at all, or it's Facebook and Instagram or Prime?
It's more the suits Newry Spud's kind of style.
Yes.
TikTok, it's very young centric.
And it's a video.
And it's video, and a lot of mine isn't video based. It's more memes.
Yes. So talk about the process. So do you just sit down the pen and piece of paper, or just with your phone and just think? And how many posts would you do a week? Say
depends and this is going again into my mental health.
Yeah.
Q Feenan, who was on your podcast a couple of weeks ago, he even said to me he knows when I'm not feeling well because he'll see that there's very little happening on Newry Spud.
Yeah.
And then he'll know that when there's 2 or 3 stories a day, Jackie's doing all right.
Yeah.
It really depends on my mental health of what I post and when I post.
Okay. And so does the whole process of posting, does that help you with your mental health?
Of course it does,
a therapeutic process?
It is, yeah. It's very cathartic for me sitting down and thinking, well, what could I write that would make everybody laugh but not offend too many people?
Yeah.
So I said I would come up with something and, you know, and to the most part it hits most of the time. So I'm pretty lucky, you know.
And Newry's got a culture of a slaggy culture to it anyway, hasn't it? In Northern Ireland in general, you know, it's like everybody goes to the bar and slags each other, you know, so you can imagine something like Newry Spud just fits in perfectly with Newry,
it fits in perfectly with the people in Newry.
Yeah.
So it does. But what I have experienced, it's probably the same in every town or village or city in Ireland, but especially in Newry, there is a lot of people who want to see you fail.
Yeah. But I think that's the same.
Is that the same everywhere?
I think it's the same everywhere. I think there's like an old saying where people like to see you do well, but they don't like you to see you do better than them.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like, and as you said earlier on, like talking about comments and all that. The weird thing about, and this has been said so many times, the really weird thing about social media, and that is how vicious people can be on social media, and this is a new thing because there's no ramifications to it. People can get behind a keyboard and just give you dog's abuse, and there's no consequence to it. Yep. Whereas before social media, you didn't get that.
No.
Because if someone came up to your face and started saying that to you, they might get a slap in the mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So social media is taking them consequences away from people's viciousness. And you know, you look at some people, some of the comments they leave or some of the things they post or whatever, you sort of think, is that person all right? You know, you know what I mean? You sort of try and empathize with them a bit. You know what I mean? You know, what sort of place are they in to post that?
Yeah.
And social media can reveal truths in people that you don't see outside that.
So true.
There's people like I see outside in the real world, you know, chatting away to them and they're lovely people and all, and then you see something that posts on social media and it's completely different. They're like a different person.
It's Jekyll and Hyde.
It's weird, isn't it?
It actually is, but what I've noticed when, as a creator, people think because you're Newry Spud that you're not take it. You don't take it personal.
Right.
You know, you don't take. You know, some of the things that I get private message are just horrible. You know.
Yeah, but talk about that. Like, what sort of stuff do you get? It has. When you started, did you get a lot more abuse than what you would get now?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'd say that's got to do with people understanding it and it becoming normalised.
Exactly.
Whereas it was new and it was different at the start.
Like, I mean, when I first started, it was a good job. I was living probably in Belfast because I would have been lynched round Newry. Right. Because some of the stuff that I was doing and writing about people, you know, again, very naively. It's a learning process for me.
When you get, how do you react to that? You know, when you get stuff posted, do you used to take it personally?
I used to take it awful bad. I mean, you know, take it like, how dare they?
Yeah.
Now, like, you know, obviously I'm not mentioning names, but a fella was just texting me like I done a story or a meme.
Yeah.
On Thursday night about Gavin Malone in Gaza with a box of milk tray.
Yeah. But you've got some mileage out of that milk tray. You've got more mileage out of the milk tray than Gavin Malone has.
but when I posted it and thought nothing of it, next thing this guy was texting me. But one of the boys gave him my number, thinking, you know, this will be funny. I had to block him, and he sent me emails. He got my email address, sent me voicemails, just going bananas about me. You know, what are you doing? The people of Palestine. And I'm like, you know, you just have to. Yeah. And then, you know, and he put a big post up on his own private page. Yeah. You know, Newry Spud blocked me and, you know, and this, you know, so, you know, I was like, you know, I'm living rent free in his head. Like, and So, but it's taken me a long time to say, okay, mate, block, you know.
Yeah. And it does take time. I remember when I started posting videos online and stuff like that, I was quite well prepared for criticism in the sense that, like, before that I was probably writing for about 10 years and what I was writing was shite. And, you know, in the university I was in, the writing classes I was in and all that, and you're giving it, you know, and all you're getting back is criticism, really, and it was constructive. But when I very first started writing when I was younger, it's harder to take that, you know, when it first starts, and then you develop a muscle of taking it on.
Like a hard shell.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of feedback or criticism when you done, your early stuff with Q and with Tony and stuff, like up in the football field kicking the ball and stuff? Remember?
There's a wee bit on Newry News. There wasn't a lot. There was a little bit of stuff like. But not a lot. But the bog roll stuff, when we first started doing it, we got, you know, I think there was a little bit of uproar with some people. Some people were posting, you know, how dare they.
But Marty was in on it, wasn't he?
Yeah. Like, I mean, so when we done the last one we did there, which sort of ended it, James McGinn's knows Marty for years. I mean, James used to chat with Marty all the time and used to, you know, go and meet him at night and just have the crack with him and all that. But when it came out, as you know, I've mentioned before, people are very protective over Marty and all, you know, and you get all that, you know, because he's such an icon, he just encapsulates Newry. He's just like the most popular thing in Newry, really, isn't he? You know, and he's iconic, him floating about in a bike and all. So when people, and he minds his own business, so if people start posting stuff about him, people can get protective over it. But you know, once people looked at the bigger picture and seen that we weren't taking the mickey out of him, it was just a homage to to the legend of him, you know, and it enhanced it a bit. I think
it's exactly that, Lofty Larkin. And people were, that's Lofty, he's an institution. But actually, his best mate, Pat McGinn, used to just like it and share it and go, Lofty liked it. Pat told me that Lofty found it funny. So I
seen something recently about him. He was something in the paper last week. He was somewhere. I seen something maybe on Facebook. I seen him. He was at something, but he's
doing so well.
Yeah, he's sober and all now, isn't
he? He's a credit like to himself and Newry. Really is. He's an incredible man.
Yeah, but he was a big character in the.
Hey, Rubberhead.
Yeah. There's loads of that. Yeah.
But that was in his dark days of drinking. But he's an absolute legend. He's and he knows everybody. I see him in Super Value, and he hasn't seen me maybe in years. Well, Jackie. Yeah, he's one of those kind of characters.
Yeah. And then to get over something like that's a big thing, isn't it? And you're, especially if you're an alcoholic and you're out, and he's sitting on the bench,
It was bad, like.
But for me to recover, it's a big achievement. You know what I mean?
And that's why I like doing things about him. Like I'll do things, nothing to put him down, to raise him up.
Yes.
I always put sort of Pat McGinn in with it. So that's.
So what's your go-to? Is there, like, if you got go-to characters in Newry that you would just for doing stories about?
I was sort of more of the time now I try to fictionalise them. So I'll always use them when I'm doing South Armagh, but Petter or dealer boots or Meehall fertiliser or something. Right. Instead of actually using real people.
Yes.
Because again, I learnt the hard way that using real people sometimes didn't always work out.
Yes. And was there stuff that you had to pull down?
Yeah.
That the people got in touch with you, and yes.
Yeah.
So elaborate on that.
Sometimes I'll write things. I remember I was writing one thing, and it was about, I'll not mention the first name, but it's a very popular name in Ireland, Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
But I wrote Fitzpatrick.
Right.
So blank Fitzpatrick said,
Yeah.
And a girl whose name something Fitzpatrick.
Right.
Contacted me. What are you writing about me? I said, no, it says Fitzpatrick. Yeah. And she goes, oh. But it was, so, you get that and like.
Yeah.
But and sometimes I'll get, angry. Now this is way back when I thought it was hilarious to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's, now that I have this audience, it's not right blasting people, innocent people.
Yeah.
I like to, like, I'll do Gavin Malone.
Yeah.
Because Gavin was a public figure.
Yes.
He's not anymore, but I'll do Tony.
Yeah.
Riser.
Yeah.
Tony Smith.
Yeah.
I'll do you, Gino, or Taxi Joe, things like that.
Yeah.
But I tried them now, fictionalise it now.
Can you understand then, business-wise, why some of them mightn't have been happy with content in the early days, potentially?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, because, I was writing things about businesses and putting it out there and not looking at it, and there's, you don't think you have weight, but some of because of your followers, they do actually listen to you, what you say.
Yeah.
And if you say, for takes I've apologised to Cobbles since, but I'd write Cobbles and grab a granny night and stuff like that. But wee things and it was sort of affecting them.
Yes.
And they told me so, and now I stay clear of doing that. Even it's even around a pound. I used to take the P out of them.
Yes.
But now I've carved that because they're already
So have you sort of stopped mentioning businesses altogether? Really?
Not altogether, no. Sometimes.
So, but you will do it in, say, positive
ways. Like I done one this morning. Snobs.
Right.
Snobs, you always have the live feed on Facebook, and the girls always look at this, ladies. You can buy this here. I put up a meme today saying, showing a girl outside Snobs holding two dresses.
Right.
For just £567.99, you can look well in this wee ensemble, ladies. Snobs liked it and replied underneath it, "Thank you very much, Newry Spud. If you want to come over and get something, it's."
Well, see, people are understanding social media and how it works a lot more now, and the power of it. Like when you started, you probably everybody would have underestimated.
Absolutely.
And now it's like turned full circle. It's like social media now has surpassed legacy media in terms of the influence it has on people, and people. That's where people get their news now.
It's because the instantaneous of it.
Yeah.
Like as I say, you post out. Before I was on the bus or in the train, coming up here to do this interview, and posted out that Snobs thing. And by the time I come here, there was 30-something odd likes.
Yeah.
Loads of comments.
Yeah.
just like that.
It's
the immediate effect that Facebook and Instagram has, and I don't do TikTok. I don't know if it's the same, but
it's even more. Immediate and more the speed of it, and Twitter's another example of where you get I think it's another example of where it's it's polarizing the world as well, social media, because
especially Twitter now.
But people get so extreme with their views now. And again, I think that's another byproduct of social media, where they can be extreme on social media again because there's no ramifications.
Again, that's what I done a meme last week. A farmer standing in his, and it says, Farmer Petter. He says, last week my woman was great at sewing. Now she's an expert in Palestine. So like,
well, that's a big problem with social media, in the sense that there's so much information out there. People read 2 or 3 stories, and all of a sudden they've become an expert. You know what I mean? And that can be, bad. That can be destructive. It can be, then they're telling the world the way the world should work.
Especially remember COVID times when everybody had nothing to do but stay on their phone. Sure, half in Newry were professional
doctors. Well, and everybody, and the funny thing about medicine and all that sort of stuff, going off on a tangent here, is everybody's different. Everybody responds to different things. Everybody responds to different food. But you go onto social media with diets, people going, how dare you eat meat? I'm a vegan. And all. And then there's people that are the carnivore diet now, which is the total opposite. It's going, vegetables are full of fucking parasites or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, but they're all contradicting each other. And you just like, there's this information overload of what do you take on? I think the best thing you do is just do what's right for you. Look after yourself, and try not to get involved with other people's business.
I was in Courtney's this morning for Courtney's Fry. Yours was great. When I go home, I might have a slob on. Hashtag fit life.
It's hard to get a good old fry sometimes, isn't it?
This was great.
I've got a post there I've seen, because I went through some of your archives earlier on. There's a post earlier on I've seen. You said, I'll just quote you here. This is from a post you made from years ago. So, to all the Cross McGlen ones messaging me about slagging the village. Come on. I slag every town and village in Newry and South Armagh. You don't see the poor inbred victims from Milltown yapping, or the ghetto folk from Derrybeg, Donetto, Barcraft, Parkhead yapping.
Oh, dear God.
You know what I mean? So you just said, I was back in the day where just everybody was on your case, was it? And you just had enough. You're like, I'm on everybody. I give shit to everybody.
Equal opportunity slagger.
And you find, like, one of the posts you used to do was, or you still do, is you'll find a place in the world somewhere that's like called White Cross.
Yeah.
And then you'll show the White Cross here and just go.
And then, now don't give it away. So which one do you think?
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah, and it's great. It gets a lot.
In terms of, so looking at like newspapers, legacy media and all that sort of stuff, it seems like social media is surpassed it all, doesn't it, really?
Well, like look at our local paper. It was just saved by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's buying papers really anymore. Apart from your ma, your granny or something. It just doesn't. Like, I can't remember the last time I bought a physical paper.
Will you look at, and the Newry Reporter, I've done a bit of work for them before, and they're fantastic institutions.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We want them to stay and and keep going and be prosperous. But, any newspaper that's printed would tell you the issue of immediacy, so like a newspaper or a news journalist writes a story and it's going to take a while for that to get printed.
Yeah.
Whereas online,
bang,
straight away.
I think that's where Columbo has stepped in to fill that void in Newry. Columbo, he owns Newry.ie.
Oh, right. Yes.
It's a fantastic news.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
So he sort of stepped in that void where he gives it out immediate. He's always on the ball. So.
Yes. You mentioned it briefly earlier on, but when you're writing stories, then you've got it more. You're more restricted now than what you used to be. You've got
self-restricted.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So there's lines now that you won't cross. Is there?
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, in the past I've hurt people, and that's just being honest.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't set up the page to hurt people.
Yeah, yeah,
I set up
yeah.
to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So I
But then when you get lost, as we said earlier, when you get lost in the whole shares thing.
Yeah. When I was writing things and it was cutting the bone, like.
Yeah.
It used to bang with like hundreds of shares and,
Yeah.
And you sit back and you go, job well done.
Yeah.
But then you don't see
Yeah.
the other side of it.
Yeah, then you look on the inbox and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And you're, so I went, no. And it's just, do you know what? It's to give myself a bit of peace of mind too.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be walking around Newry and somebody saying, here, that post that you wrote about me or my friend or my aunt,
Yeah.
So I've stepped back and now I don't personalise a lot of things.
So what's your relationship now like with businesses locally and all? It's
100% now because, I try now just to give them, I'll, if I see something good that they're doing, I'll share it on the page. If they're doing something good for the community, I'll share it.
Yeah.
So I try my best now just to placate and not... I did enjoy being an instigator at the start, but it's a hassle.
Yeah, and then as you say, you're probably the biggest page in Newry, I would imagine.
Yeah,
so you've got like there's a bit of a responsibility there. Then
now that there is, and there wasn't there at the start where I could have said anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now and because what I write, it goes. I find like it spreads like a virus, just that quick, and there is I feel an onus on myself to take just to watch what I post, and I don't want to hurt people, especially you don't know what people's going through. Somebody might say to me, "Here, write a post about this boy," and you look at and I think, I don't know what his mental health's like, and if I write something. I don't want to be responsible for anybody maybe hurting themselves
then people, when you do something, it's like even sending a text message to your friend or somebody at work. Sometimes when you text something or you're putting something in text, people read it differently than if you're talking to them to their face. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. So you have to think about that too, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of times, I've posted a lot of stories thinking it was hilarious, but when people read it, they go, well, did you mean that I done... you don't know how people are going to interpret your words when you're writing a story. So you're right, yeah. So I'll sit on my phone when I'm writing a story and just think, what would that sound like if I'm reading it from an our side? And
then you're keeping the identity secret at the start. I know everybody pretty much knew eventually who it was, but was there a reason for that?
Yeah.
I thought it was when Newry Spud first came out, it was cool in the sense that it was cool when nobody knew who it was, right? And that was an entertaining aspect of it. Everyone, when it first came out, was going, "Who is Newry Spud?"
I know Leanne McCooey everybody thought it was her, and I think Phil thought it was you, did they?
A couple of things, but not too
many. But the anonymity part was good, but.
Was there a reason why you said you wanted to keep it secret?
Yeah, because I didn't want because at the time I was posting things that were maybe a bit below the belt.
Yeah.
I didn't want people, on my case.
Yeah.
So, at the start for years, maybe the first 3 years, it was just me and Paul Malone who knew who it was.
Right.
And then I told Tony Smith, Riser Friends.
Right.
I told him, and and then again, that what Newry's like. Once one knows, bump.
Yeah. Then it goes like wildfire.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, you just want to own it, and
Well, that's when we reached out to you about the podcast. I thought, this is a perfect vehicle for me to say, this is me.
Yeah.
I think it's the pages has matured now to the point where I can be that person, if you know what I mean.
And where do you see the page evolve from where it is now, or do you see it consistently, doing the same thing, or do you see new strands getting added to it?
I mean, I think now that I'm that I'm done this here, I would like to maybe branch into going into like videos and skits and stuff like you do. So I'm thinking along that line.
Yeah.
You know.
You used to post like story. You used to have a website, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then you post the stories on the website, and the Facebook led you to
that.
website.
And that's
So you don't really do that much.
I don't do that anymore because what I found was people couldn't be asked clicking into.
It's amazing. It's like one little thing, one little click, and
people couldn't be arsed.
People couldn't be arsed.
And I'm not going in to read this and then
yeah.
you pop up, no, the cookie said, no.
Yeah. And then like even when from us making our videos. And I didn't make videos for like a couple of years. I was busy at work, and I was making the Taxi Joe series last year. It just took a long time to get all that up and running. And I was out of the social media loop for a while. And the change of everything from landscape video to portrait video, you know, and I didn't really get it, you know, because my whole training is widescreen landscape movies, you know. So I've been sort of retraining myself
your brain
to cut things in portrait. And once you do that, it's like a different thing.
That's a TikTok thing, isn't it, though?
Yeah, it's TikTok and Reels and Instagram Reels. So the thing is, it's amazing because when you saying people couldn't be arsed, it's like you can post stuff on TikTok that's widescreen, right? But it means people have to do that with their phone.
Couldn't be
arsed.
No.
Couldn't be. So you have to
so simple.
It's unbelievable.
And I noticed when I get rid of the website, although it was a small revenue stream.
Yeah.
But it just... when I just went, look, I'm going to put the post on the Facebook page and nobody has to click, don't have to do anything. I noticed that the shares went up hundreds of %, the views, the likes. It's a far better model to get your stuff read than having an external website. It's just... Yeah.
Oh, and another thing too that you learn about social media is if you're posting links to external websites, the Facebook or whatever the social media platform is, they'll relegate your post, you know, as part of what they call the algorithm or whatever, because they don't want people leaving Facebook.
Exactly.
So your post gets relegated. So you have to do it natively really to get the most reach, don't you? Yeah.
So I think that's definitely, if I was giving any advice to any creator, don't be getting external websites, or if you're on Facebook, keep the story on there. It's not, you can monetize your stuff now. I don't bother. I just couldn't be asked. But Facebook have clocked in now that you can actually monetize posts.
Right. Yes. Yes.
But there's a rigmarole going about it, doing tax and you know, you have to give your tax details and all that. I couldn't be as harsh doing all that.
Right. Okay. But do you see Facebook as a future revenue stream of, you know, doing like an entertainment type of thing? You know, you're on about expanding the Newry Spud and all that sort of thing.
Facebook is my bread and butter.
Yeah, basically
for content.
Yeah, but Facebook's is the one that the social media platform that really landed in Newry, in the sense that it's, you know, Newry's full of nosy bastards, like, you know, and they love knowing everybody's business. So loads of people go on to Facebook to scan, you know, to see what people are up to, what's happening, you know, and Newry Spud lends into that, you know, it's a gossipy type of vibe to it, doesn't it? Exactly. It's a perfect storm, really. Newry gossip column, sort of. You have all the old women on. What did Newry Spud say about him now? Yeah. So satire, then. What is satire? How would you describe it? Well, I would call myself a satirist, so I should know it. I describe it as taking something that's real and putting a twist on it in a fun way. That's how I see it. Taking something that's very real in your town, your city, your home, and just putting your twist on it to make people go, oh yes, that's what, you know. So, what do you think? Satire, comedy of beliefs. You're playing with the belief systems of people, you know, like religion always ties well, news, politics, all belief systems that tie into your Taxi Joe character. I mean, is it based on a certain taxi man in Newry? People ask that all the time. No, I thought it was based on, I don't know if I'm mentioning his name or not. Right. Well, mention him. Tommy Lamb. Right, no.
I thought it was based on Tommy.
No, I don't even know Tommy
do you
Lamb.
not?
I've
Right,
never
okay.
even met him.
I thought it's very like him.
Right, okay. He's about 20 or 30 people I've met in my life, you know, that has inspired him really.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it is when you're onto something is when people say to you, oh, I know who Taxi Joe is, and then you've got a good character because people can relate to what you're doing, that sort of a way. Creatively, then, do you experience highs and lows then?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes. For me personally, it's all about how I am feeling.
Right,
it really is. It as a creative person, it's if I'm going through a hard time with my mental health, I don't want to see my phone. I don't want to see my laptop. I don't want to see anything. I don't find anything funny. I don't think, I sit in the house and I don't go out for a week or two.
Yeah.
That's being honest.
Yeah.
So, but whenever I'm doing well, I can hit out 3-4 stories, 5 memes a day.
Yeah.
It's just a bizarre way. Like I know a lot of people who are creative and that's the way they are. It's all about their mood.
Yeah.
And how they feel at the time.
Yeah.
It's very hard to sit down when you think that, you shouldn't be alive. Mm-hmm. And let's go and sit and have a joke.
And have you experienced that then in your life? Have you?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. I told you at the start when I was sectioned in the Matter in Belfast. Yeah,
right.
I went through an awful time. Just various losses in my life.
Yes.
And
so what advice would you give to anyone that's going through something like that, or going through hardship mentally? How do you cope? How do you get out of them slumps?
What I done was open up, talk to my friends, talk to my sister.
And people struggle with it in this country. We have a culture of just not talking
especially
about stuff.
especially the north of Ireland. And I think it's probably a legacy of the Troubles. I don't know.
I completely agree. Yeah, say nothing. Say
no more.
It's just in our culture. Yeah,
you know what I mean. And especially when I was reared in Bessbrook, South Armagh.
Yeah.
You say nothing. And, there was that big man, isn't there? Be the man, be the lad.
Yeah. But I think that's softening more. I
think especially in Newry, Pip's done a lot of great work.
Yeah. We try and do what we can for Pips and all. And I think the big thing about Pips and that
taking
charity,
the stigma out of it.
Yes, exactly. And the big thing about that charity is, when it comes to mental health, everybody has had a tragedy in their life that's connected to them in some way, whether it's a friend or whether it's someone they went to school with, family member, and it's and it's all well and good saying it when you're not in that, but it's thinking about the devastation. You see in the devastation they leave behind them that they don't realise that they're going to leave behind. Sort of, and you see the pain it causes everywhere.
Yeah, well, recently I had a bad time. And my brother came up to the Daisy Hill. I took an overdose. This isn't too long ago. It was only a few months ago. And I saw his eyes, my brother Turlock, and he was in bits. And I was sitting in bed, wired up in tubes, and what am I doing? Putting my family through this.
Yeah.
You don't see at the time, as you said.
Yeah. You just get lost in that.
In that moment of insanity and selfishness almost, but
and so have you, as I say, have you?
I made a conscious decision when I was coming up here. I was going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because I think people see me as the funny fella on Newry Spud.
Yeah.
But there's totally a flip side to that.
Yeah. And you get that a lot with comedy, and as you said, people who are creative, they get drawn to those things because they need that outlet in their life. So after that, what happened a few months ago, since then, have you got out of it? Are you in the road back to?
I'm in the road back recovery, but I was, like a lot of people, I sunk my head in the bottle in drink, and it's it's a thing that I struggle with quite a lot. But at the moment I'm in a good space.
Oh, that's good.
But it's a long road, and I, as I say, I made the conscious decision. I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to lie about who I am as a person.
Yeah, and I think that's great, and it'll definitely sell the story of Newry Spud, why it came about, how it came about.
And that's what it was.
The difficulties of it too.
Newry Spud is as funny as people like it, and it came from a really dark place.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and it has saved me in many aspects of my life.
So, what if, as I said, if you've advised anyone else that's going through a hard time or whatever, what would you say?
The only thing I would say is to reach out, especially to a doctor.
Right.
Because you can talk to your friends till you're blue in the face, but you need to talk to somebody who can give you the proper medicine. You know, the stigma's gone. Forget about all this bullshit about, oh, I'm a big lad, or I don't want to be seen going in there and getting, I don't want to go into the chemist getting depression tablets or whatever. Get that out your head.
Yeah.
You know, I remember me and you going to St. Paul's School.
Yeah.
Could you imagine us back then saying, "Oh, I'm feeling low here," you know? You'd have made a fool of.
Yeah, it wasn't.
They grew up in a completely different time.
Yeah.
But young ones coming through, like my daughter, she's 12, Maeve.
Yeah.
You know, and I would be, I'm hard scared of something, her going through this.
Yeah.
I always want her to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and even things like when we were at school, like if somebody was gay or whatever, that even was like
taboo.
You seen what people who were gay, how hard it was for them to go through school and different things like that.
I definitely saw it in St. Paul's. A couple of people I'm friends with, and they went through a hard time.
Yeah. I know this would be like 20 years ago, and it's got completely different now.
It was on a regular basis. They were called faggots or fruits or whatever. It was normal.
Yeah.
It's amazing how far we have come. Thank God.
Does the pressure? Do you feel a pressure? Do you put yourself under pressure on the page in terms of what you're putting out? Do you put a pressure on yourself where like, oh, I need a post today, or I need to, get X amount of likes, or do you ever think like that?
The likes things, I don't care about that anymore.
Yeah.
But the posting out, again, like my friends and family will know when I'm in a good space, because I will post, even if I have a cracking idea, but I'm feeling down.
Yeah.
And not look at Newry Spud, and not look at comments, and not look at messages, and not look at I just don't care about it.
Yeah,
and that's
Yeah. I found too, what's helped me when I'm making content and stuff is, I do it all on the computer, desktop, and all. And then when I post, I keep my phone in my bedroom and keep it away from me. Do you know what I mean?
You don't look at the
I just look at it once a day, maybe.
Right.
And because I don't do social media a lot I don't be on it a lot. So I find, say if you're posting content all the time and then you go on to social media, you can't get off it.
No, well, I've had to
there's comments flying
100%.
Everywhere. There's inboxes going, and there's know what I mean.
I've had to turn off my notifications.
Yeah.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
I know, and you just have to turn it off.
But it's just your brain, just as like And then I find when I'm not on social media all day, it's just you have a more productive day.
100%, yeah.
It's something. I wonder what it's like for people who've got gigantic social media pages. It's a lot for your brain to take in all that information, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're saying that when we do this podcast again in a year's time, I'll probably have 100,000 followers. I'll let you know what it's like.
But it's amazing the mileage you've got out of Newry, isn't it?
Isn't it crazy? But it's evolving I'm not saying you can hide behind, but you have a character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whereas I have to always make up stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the hard part. How can I do something, and make it up? It's constantly always on your head to do it.
Yes.
And to make stuff up, to make new funny stories up and stuff.
Yeah.
So, that's the hard part. Is being relevant.
Yes.
Whereas I like the Taxi Joe stuff. It's class.
So, what's your favourite things to do stories about?
Recently, I'm really loving the stuff about South Armagh and my fictional character Petter.
Right.
I always do stories about him.
But with the people, like you were saying earlier on about the Palestine thing you posted, which I didn't deem offensive in the slightest.
No.
But it's good escapism for people. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's that balancing act where, as you say, for what one person finds offensive, there could be 5 people that you've just brightened their whole day up.
You know what I mean?
Do you know
like,
what I mean?
I looked at on the Palestine post. There's three at the moment. There's 300 odd likes on it, but there's about 4 angry faces. The rest there's all laugh faces.
Yeah.
Because it there was. If anybody knows me personally, they know I support the cause of Palestine. Like but this was just a joke about Gavin.
It's not specific.
It's not about Palestine.
It's not, or the people.
I done one about Gavin being in what do you call it, in Ukraine.
Right.
Not a word. But when I done about Palestine, Gaza. You know. So
how have you kept it fresh for so long?
Just coming up with new characters. You know, I've started now just using, when I'm doing stories, especially beside them, I'll be Patter or Cahill. Or Grania or Roshan.
Yes.
I've used them 4 names.
Yeah. Spoke about why you started the page. Why do you continue to do it then?
It's because I see the likes that the people get out of it, and the joy. I really do. And I get a lot of cathartic happiness out of it. I really do. When I see people sharing it and saying, "Oh, read this," to their mates, I think that's brightening their day up, and I'm happy with that.
Growing up in Newry or growing up in Bestbrook, then what sort of memories do you have, and how did they sort of inspire you then?
I was reared by my grandmother, Mary Williams, Mary Sheridan, but she was a character, and she's a massive part of my wit, if so to speak.
Right,
I got it from her, really. She was very cutting, and she wouldn't you wouldn't mess with her, but she was so funny. She was hilarious, and I've taken a lot of stuff from her. The old school humour.
Yeah. Brilliant. There's a thing about Newry that, as I said, what is it about Newry that lends itself so well to comedy?
The people.
Yeah.
They're so funny, aren't they? Everywhere you go,
the characters are amazing.
You go into any bar in Newry, and you'll see somebody, and you'll have a laugh. They'll just come out with something, and you go, fucking hell, that's hilarious. And I think they don't even know. Newry people don't know how funny they are, but they are. Yeah,
by just being themselves. But their characters personified, aren't they?
Do you know what I mean? That's
But it's sad in a way that Newry is changing, in the sense that local businesses are finding it tougher, aren't they? Especially pubs and bars and stuff. And do you remember, when I remember started working in the bars, and there was still a bit of that culture of drinking during the week and all, and the characters you met was just, and it is down a bit, isn't it? People are drinking in the house a lot more, and
well, I think COVID put an end to really people drinking out in the pubs, didn't it? Really, people saw when they were going to the carry out and going, Jesus, look at the money I've just saved.
Exactly.
Have you were you ever in Madden's when Madden's was at
in
the morning time?
Yeah. And you can say that now because they're
closed now. But back in the day, when you would go into Madden's, if you were with the boys and maybe go in at 8:30 in the morning. You could sit and put a camera there, and that would be a situation comedy there for you.
Yeah. So COVID, you're talking about your mental health early on. How did you cope with lockdown then?
I think posting was, if you look back on it, there's a big spike in my posting because what do you do? You're sitting in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a big thing for me, just creating.
We saw a boom in our work over lockdown. Did you see, which I seen an increase? Did you see an increase at the time of people getting in touch with you? During COVID, saying thanks for your all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. You get a load of messages through that.
Yeah.
Especially when you do wee videos I would do and put a meme on them. People were getting a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people saying, "Geez, that was hilarious. Please don't close the page now, or keep going." I'm sure you get the exact same. When you went away for 2 years, I thought, "Oh no,
it's gone.
It's gone. What the hell?" Because you hit that when you done the night before the Christmas one.
Yeah.
That blew up, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Yeah. But what we got there was, I remember for our screening last year, I remember there was a lady messaged me about their child was in the Taxi Joe fan and all, and we're going to the screening Thursday night. You take photographs and all. And then after you're taking photos, it's weird in the sense that, you know, the way, like when we were growing up, there was this holy grail of celebrity, right?
Yeah.
Where you had to climb a mountain or you had to be on television or whatever.
Yeah.
Now you've got a phone in your pocket.
Yeah.
You make a video, you post it online, and the next morning you could be in the newspaper.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre.
Yeah, you know.
It really is.
You know, and it sort of highlights where the world is at the minute, isn't it?
And that's why I kind of liked the anonymity at the time too, when a lot of my stuff was skyrocketed and nobody had a clue.
Yeah.
You know?
But that added to the intrigue of who is Newry Spud. But now we all know.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no point keeping it, you know. So it's So now maybe I'll take selfies and sign autographs.
So Newry, what would your Mount Rushmore of Newry be?
Mount Rushmore of Newry. Lofty Larkin. Marty Bogrell. Tony Smith of Rise, our friends.
So there you go, 3 great picks.
And my last one would be, who would I pick? Taxi Joe.
Oh, brilliant. There you go.
Who's yours?
Starting to blush.
Who's yours?
Newry Spud.
Yeah, thank you.
Who else would I go? Pat Craven. I would have Pat Craven on my Mount Rushmore Newry. I'm surprised you didn't say Gavin Malone.
Oh, Jesus, sorry.
There
sorry, Gavin, take me off and put Gavin on.
So what's the future then? What's the future then for Jackie then?
Future for Jackie is...
So as long as if you're in a good place, as long as you're in a good place and things are getting better for you, that's what we all hope anyway.
Exactly. That's what we all hope for everybody. Jesus, it feels like the weight has been taken off my shoulder doing this today, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just talking about it. And hopefully this has actually helped somebody who's listening.
Yeah.
To reach out.
Because nobody would see that.
No.
Nobody would see. You know, when you're posting, I didn't know that.
No.
When you're posting all your Newry Spud things, nobody would see that. Nobody.
No. The only people really who knew was my family, you know, my brother and sister.
Yeah.
But, you know, I hid behind Newry Spud. But it's time, I mean, this has been really cathartic for me just talking about this because, you know, people see the funny side and it's hilarious at times, but there is a dark side to it too, and that's where I hopefully any good I've done in Newry Spud will come out of helping somebody going through mental health problems.
Yeah,
because I'm not hiding anymore, and I don't think anybody should.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that's a great way to end it off. Jackie, thank you very much for coming in. Really appreciate it. You're a Newry institution now. It's the top page in Newry. It's the page everyone goes for a bit of crack. Keep it going and keep it lit. Anytime you want to come on or anytime you want to talk about anything, doors are always open. Consider you a great friend now. And as I said, thank you very much for coming on.
Gino, thank you very much.
Until next time, see you after.